Thank you very much. So this is the last presentation. So I think that now you know many things about Infinity. You know that we have a repository, you know the roadmap, you know the methodology, and also we have heard about the outcomes and the reach and interest. But there's one point is about how we have created this repository and about how we profile all these infrastructures towards producing this repository. So this point I'm going to introduce, because it's a long tool, for the Common Description Framework of Future Internet Infrastructures. Here, what we have created is a tool to profile, model, and classify infrastructures, ICT related, with the basis of being enabled to classify this information and compare to other and offer them for experimentation as a service with some structured information. This Common Description Framework is the base of the CP portal, for example, but also was used for different things in the project and can be used, and is a very useful tool for infrastructure owners, public authorities, private companies to profile their infrastructures and understand in a proper way how this taxonomy will look like and how to compare to all the different ones. First of all, this Common Description Framework is used to post the information model for the structural representation. That means how to structure this information and present, for example, in a CP portal. Second is covering the infrastructure profiling and the reference schema. That means that it's an abstraction layer to understand the results of the infrastructure data collection. Let's say how I group, I classify the information, how can I select of the different resources that can an infrastructure provide. For example, if I offer for developers an infrastructure, in this way we classify in a homogeneous manner and comparable to others this offer. Third is this methodology for capturing and analyzing the requirements from, for example, FI-PPP projects or other projects. That means that detect which components of my infrastructure or my set of federated infrastructures can be useful or would prevent the use of the infrastructure or for, in this case we did for FI-PPP projects, but can be done for others. And also providing a methodology to identify the common enablers and main interoperability issues between infrastructures. That means, in this way, with this Common Description Framework, different interoperability issues can be found and I can check how to solve so I can start federating. Now comes one part that was very funny for me, because after one presentation and several presentations I gave for Infinity, one attendee asked me, how you define an infrastructure? Because you are talking and talking and talking about infrastructure. So what is for you an infrastructure? So we struggled some days and we discussed in Infinity which kind of infrastructure are really useful. So really what we are targeting and what we think that in the program, for example, FIRE or FI-PPP, is really ICT platforms. This is not about the RI portal or infrastructure that they have infrastructures for the observation of the Earth. This is ICT infrastructures to facilitate large-scale experimentation and testing. That means that if an infrastructure is not open for experimentation, it's not here. We don't want any private infrastructure that is only for the owner. We are not interested. Second is testing future internet projects and application and service development. That means if I want to experiment with SDN, I should be able to do that. If I want to experiment with an application, I should be able to do that in these two domains. And also should provide something or may provide something, ICT-based services in different domains. So maybe this infrastructure can be generic or can be used only for smart cities, for environment, for health. This is our definition of an infrastructure. So everything that is not falling under this definition is not included in CIFI and not in our methodology. And we group it in 5 categories. That is the objective of the infrastructure, stakeholders, so who is behind, delivers what this infrastructure is providing, enablers, and processes. With processes, this infrastructure is following. The common description framework is really to provide a taxonomy or ontology, but it's not only for the technical domain. So if you are looking for an infrastructure only the technical domain and you don't understand who is using that or which cost you need to pay, it's not possible to really offer an experiment, like say, as a service. You will find many caveats, you will find difficulties, and at the end, this is not going to work. So the CDF, Common Description Framework, is following three domains or dimensions: technical side, societal side, and economical side. Maybe it's very easy to follow the technical. The societal is mainly about the users, which stakeholder, who is really behind that. The economical, for example, who invested in this, do I need to pay a fee to use that? Is free to use? Is open for innovation? Also, we capture the key characteristics of an infrastructure suitable for hosting future internet experimentations. We provide the tool, so you may use this common description framework to apply to your infrastructures. It supports the development of data model for CP, for the web repository, and also we made in the CDF a tool also for doing refinements. So some infrastructure owner proposed that changes and improvements, so we did 3 versions of this common description framework that now is available for the community. All we did in Infinity is available for the community. And compare, of course, compatible infrastructures, as saw by Silvia. I can compare my infrastructure to other. How can I offer it as a service for experimentation? In the technical side, we divided into 8 categories with different subcategories. So, for example, we might have this satellite network, for example, satellite communication as an infrastructure, backbone network, that means core networks, sensor networks, for example, those in a smart city, wireless access networks, so we have a 3-4G network or Wi-Fi network, wire access networks, can be cable, can be PON, can be fiber, can be different, cloud computer, ES, PaaS or SaaS, data and context management, application service delivery, or customer devices. Why? Because these are the different categories defined in the FI-PPP as chapters for fireware, but also for some other projects. So with all together, we defined that the infrastructures ICT related that fits into this concept of future internet are falling into these different domains. And what we did is to really develop these blocks and develop subcomponents. So a subcomponent, as you can see here, is part of this building block here that is composed of these 8 superdomains. That means that in this arrow means that this is generalization of. That means cloud computing, of course, should be a generalization of ES, PaaS, or SaaS, of course. So this is only just an explanation of how we have built our common description framework. So if you have the opportunity to take a look, you may do and apply it for your infrastructure and finally have your, let's say, kind of UML for yourself. Also, there are some other use. For example, I want to find interoperability and similarity of infrastructure in CP using the CDF. Okay, so we did the job for our CP portal with all these infrastructures to find the similarity and interoperability. So we took, for example, system network, data and context management, application service delivery, and cloud computing. What we did here is to try to identify in the CDF what other infrastructure may be compatible and if there are interoperability according to some protocols. And then we developed automatically some tables about how much interoperability there are. So you discover surprises, but in the end, this is your operation. If you want to federate different infrastructures, you are able to start from something, not starting from scratch. In this way, of course, this is not, let's say, this is not the perfect tool to do an interoperability, but it's giving you the floor to start with something that gives you the indication of what the infrastructure have declared. If what they have declared is not 100% correct, then it is a problem. But if not, you have a very good degree. Second, you want to establish the level of relationship between infrastructure and FI-PPP services, technology, or enablers. In this way, you're also able to identify, so by Silvio, is this infrastructure supporting this chapter? Is this compatible? Can we do it now, or do we need any adaptation? Silvio presented something, but if it's yellow, doesn't mean that you cannot be part of FI-Lab. It's just that you need some adaptation. That's all. So, if you want to do some adaptation, you take your FI-Apps tools that was presented in the other session, and then you can complete your job. And then you upload it to CP, and we compare, and we have this information. Other one, for example, I want to compare to a use case. That means that I have a domain in health. I want to use an infrastructure from my private cloud to store the data about my patients. I cannot put it in a public cloud because this information is very sensitive, but I can use a private cloud. Okay, so is this compatible with my requirements in my use case? Then what we did also using the CDF is to really find these requirements and at least give an explanation on how compatible an infrastructure can be. Again, if you don't provide the right information, it's not possible to do that, but it gives you a very good indication to start from something. Then we did also the metrics for the coverage of the infrastructure data in CP, the quantity and quality, as so by Silvio, and also we did some automatic jobs as presented, where we can be able to find with the CDF is the information we have is complete. So it's a tool also for self-evaluation of the information we provide for a developer, for an experimenter, really something that will help or not. So we have a quality and quantity completeness assessment. This CDF is published and publicly available. So if you want to apply to your infrastructure, you only need to download from Infinity, use it to profile it, and you will have a very good structured data of your infrastructure. You can compare with other infrastructure in CP and find how compatible you are. If you can interoperate, you can create a federation and start doing your assessment. But also can have many different uses. The first, as I say, similar infrastructures for experimentation. That is one. But we can define the quantity of data available according to the rest of the infrastructure in this domain and to see if the experimenters will come to me because I have provided very good and a good level of information. Of course, we create a repository such as CP, but you may want to create your own, let's say, information database. Why not? We can classify also the infrastructures to different requirements towards the integration in file levels of FI Federation, so we can start also checking if this is going to happen. And the most important part is that, remember, FI-PPP is about technology that works. And all this has been applied and is working in CP. So all of this has been tested and working, and this is something that you may use and we offer you for the, let's say, not only for the FAR, but also the infrastructure community. So thank you very much.